Hello and welcome to this instructional video on CATIA prismatic machining. We're proceeding to work on the second setup of our sample part, and there are several operations that need to be completed. We're going to focus on in this video on completing machining around this upper section of the part. There is this ledge here, very small ledge, that has to be created, as well as material that needs to be removed here. Also, to recall that we left 10 thousandths material here, and we're going to remove that as part of this feature, as part of this operation, and that's going to expose completely the bottom pocket here, so we can remove this other part of the wall when we do this bottom pocket. So let's just quickly check and see how much material we have to remove here using our measure tool. Always a good idea to understand how much material is there. So this distance here is 1/8 of an inch. So that's fairly thick. You wouldn't want to take that in this, if you're taking that as a single radial pass, you'd want to kind of have your depths of cut fairly low, which is what we've been doing. So we'd probably want to work with the 50 thousandths depth of cut for the profiling operation that we create around here. So since you have familiarity with the profiling operation, I'm going to let you take a crack at that. Again, add it to the end of the tree under using the same cutting tool that we've been using, the 1/2 inch end mill. And in a minute, I'll come back and we'll see how you did on that. Okay, let's see how you did. So let's go ahead then and add a profiling operation to the tree. So let's go ahead and click on the profiling tool and then click on the last profiling operation, which was the operation around that island. And we're very quickly going to go through this. The top of the part is the top of this section here. The bottom is going to be this ledge, which is of course connected to this face here. Notice that it picks the guide curve based upon the face that was selected. We don't want that, so let's remove. And then we're going to use our edge selection tools. So we're going to quickly pick an edge. And then here's our direction. We're going to navigate on edges onto an edge. So we're going to pick the edge immediately before. And we see that it goes all the way around and creates a loop. So we have our guide curve picked. For our cutting tool, we're going to use that 1/2 inch cutter that we've been pretty much doing all our machining with. And again, our 4th tab over here shows the speeds and feeds. Again, we're not going to change these. 120 inches per minute roughing and 20 inches finishing, and that's correct. Let's go to our approaches and retracts, and we see that we have an approach which is the last approach that was used. So CATIA remembers these and sort of copies these in, which could sometimes be irritating, but in this case they may work out to be correct. So our initial approach is a circular lead-in with a 75 thousandths axial approach. This makes some sense because we're also going to use a 50 thousandths depth of cut, so our axial approach is greater than our depth of cut, which is the rule of thumb. And then the retract actually uses a plane. So after the tool is finished, after all the passes have been completed, we're going to retract. So the retract plane, let's remove this and reselect it just to make sure that we have the right retract plane. We're going to pick this plane here and then maybe do a little bit of an offset. So we're above 50 thousandths, we're above that plane before the tool starts moving elsewhere. And then if you look at what else we would need as far as approaches go, we would certainly need to do return between levels because we're going to drop down multiple levels. So return between level approach, this is also set to be the same as the initial approach. And retract set to 75 thousandths. So let's leave these for the time being. We may need to change these if there's anything strange going on. We also need finish pass approach and finish pass retract. And again, we'll leave these until we see what else is going on. We probably don't need return in a level because I expect that the tool is only going to go around once and then drop down to the next level and repeat all the way down to this ledge. So we can go ahead and deactivate these. So again, right-click, deactivate. So we're not using those as part of the approaches for this feature. Okay, and let's now jump to the first tab and set up our strategy. We're going to go one way. We're going to climb. We're going to close the toolpad. Again, the question mark shows you that we're going to bring the tool all the way around the profile back to the start point. And then we're going to do a little bit of an overlap, a 50% overlap, so that the tool goes past the point that it started. For step over, we're going to use a single path. We're not going to have really this issue of distance between paths won't come into play if you only have a single path. And for our axial strategy, we're going to go with our maximum depth of cut again, which is 50 thousandths. So CATIA calculates 15 passes from the top surface to the bottom surface to get there. So that's our step over. And then for finishing, we are going to, this is such a small ledge that we probably don't need to finish on this. But if we wanted to, we could. So let's just go ahead and side finish at last level and bottom. And again, 10 thousandths and 10 thousandths have been set. So again, that will take a 10 thousandths pass, including the material we left here from a previous operation will be taken. So let's go ahead and simulate. And there we go. We can see our circular lead in and circular lead out that are part of the approaches that we've set. And this looks pretty reasonable, so let's go ahead and maybe simulate the material removal to see what we've got here. We can speed this up a little bit since we've got a lot of operations in there now. Get through as quickly as possible. There we go. So now we have this step machined. And now that you know how to use the Analyze tool, we can go ahead and look at this too and just confirm that we've gotten this, all the material around this cleaned. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Let's see if we've missed anything. Okay, so it looks like we did miss something. So why is this still purple? It's telling me that one still has 10 thousandths material left on this, even though we finished. So there is something that's not quite right. So let's go back and look at some of our options to see what we missed. So I would guess that what we missed was under the Geometry tab. We probably did not set our offset on surface back to, on our hard boundary, back to 0. It's probably set at 10,000. So let's check that. And then sure enough, offset on contours. This is our contour, and there's still 10,000. So even though we've left 10,000s machining, because there's this offset that the tool goes to, it never does it never does that. It does the finishing pass, but it doesn't do the finishing pass to the surface, the design surface that we want. So let's set this back to 0. And let's go ahead and repeat what we just did and see if that. I'm going to really let it fly through here. Okay, and let's do the Analyze tool again. Let's apply it. And this time it's green. So again, that's a common mistake because CATIA remembers those settings, those offsets. So you create a new operation, those offsets are still there. And again, I mentioned that sometimes CATIA remembering can be frustrating. Sometimes it can be helpful, but there are times, as this case demonstrates, where it means that you have to go back and figure out what was left, what needs to be reset. Okay, so there you go. Again, that did not take too long. So now you have this additional operation. I said, okay, go ahead and save your part if you haven't been doing so all along. And we now have this operation around here. We've gotten this surface, and now we want to return our attention back to this side here, which we'll do in the next couple of videos to finish off machining the pocketing on this side over here.